Hi, I'm Mark Greaney, and you are watching the Crew Reviews.
Welcome back to one of our most frequent guests on the Crew Reviews, Mark Greaney, whose new Gray Man novel, The Hard Line, will be everywhere February 17th. So, how's it going, Mark?
It's going pretty good. How are you guys doing?
Doing
Doing
great.
good. Good to have
Cheers,
you back
brother.
on.
Cheers.
It's good to see you. We've been around since 2019. Is that it?
2019, that's right. I think
Hard to believe.
you were one of our first guests, and I remember that show well.
Awesome.
I went through an entire bottle of Hibiki Japanese whiskey, I think.
Yeah, I don't think you remember the end of it, Sean.
That's
We
true.
we recorded it, but I don't think you remember.
But Mark, why don't you tell our audience, Chris and I obviously have already read it, but why don't you share a little bit about what Court's up to in this, your 15th Gray Man installment?
Yeah, so it's book 15 in the series. It follows my hero, the Gray Man. His name is Court Gentry. He's a former CIA paramilitary officer. And in this book, he's working for kind of a private company called Ghost, not company, but a private concern called Ghost Town, who it's sort of a sub rosa intelligence shop, and his team is taking orders directly from the head of operations for the CIA, and kind of a mysterious entity has infiltrated the United States government. Secrets are being leaked, people are being assassinated, and Court and Ghost Town have identified five assassins who have entered the United States, and they are tasked with finding them and taking them out. And one of these assassins is a Northern Irishman, kind of a fabled assassin whose code name is Whetstone. His name is Campbell Coyle, and he has a very personal reason for targeting the Gray Man himself. And so there's kind of, these two apex predators are at each other's throats in the middle of this big, larger conspiracy. And I will just tell you guys, I'm not too worried about spoiling that little aspect of why he's after them, because that happens very early in the story, and it's
Yeah,
really hard to talk about this if you can't really say
that's true.
what the stakes are. And believe me, I've tried.
I
But
hadn't thought about that, but that's true. No,
yeah,
I like how it's kind of a Legion of Doom sort of assassins that are after him too.
yeah,
That's a
yeah,
real fun part, or after the targets, I should say.
yeah.
Well, Mark, locations in the backgrounds of antagonists are always central to Gray Man stories, and you explored a new one for Court. You just mentioned it, Northern Ireland, and with some IRA elements. What drew you to that subject matter for this one?
I had always been interested in it. In fact, I could go back to my beginning interest in these type of thrillers was the novel Patriot Games, Tom Clancy, of course. And the reason I picked that book up, I still remember it like it was yesterday. I still go to the grocery store where I bought that book at the grocery store. But I remember I'd never had purchased a fiction thriller in my entire life. I read a lot of nonfiction. I was in college and I was studying international relations. I was very fascinated with the IRA. My interest in terrorism came around in 1985 when I was 17 and I traveled to Europe for the first time, on Air India, like 5 days after an Air India plane had been blown up. And
Jeez.
I just remember thinking, a couple of 21-year-old idiots can have the world at their throat, and it's just terrorism wasn't new in the 80s. I mean, kind of people look back and go like, well, before 2001, I mean, what was terrorism? I mean, it obviously was a thing, but it really kind of like focused my interest on international relations and political science and things going on in the world. And very specifically, the IRA was doing a lot in the UK in the 80s. And I was fascinated by them. And I studied it in college and read a bunch of things, out of my own interests. Patriot Games, of course, was the first fiction novel that I read, and it involves the IRA. The only reason I bought it was because I was like, oh, this is about the IRA, and I'm studying that. But I hadn't really kept up on it. I know the Peace Accords were signed in the 90s, and I knew there'd been some. I'd been to Dublin, and I knew there'd been when I was in Dublin in 2009. Uh, it was On Target, my second Gray Man novel. I was doing research for that, and there had been an IRA bombing, which was very kind of unusual at the time.
Yeah.
So I just kind of wanted to go back and learn a little bit more about it, read some books, travel to Northern Ireland because I've never been there, and kind of see what it's like now. And I'm really glad I did. I learned a lot, but it's a deep and very kind of fraught subject. It's like, do you call these people terrorists? Do you call these people soldiers? It depends on your perspective, and which is always the case. But it was interesting to research that.
Yeah,
Awesome.
one man's freedom's fighter is another man's
Yeah,
terrorist,
yeah,
right? So,
yeah.
building on all that, one thing that blew me away about the hard line is the sheer number of moving pieces, characters, locations, plot lines, and yet as a reader, I was never confused.
Good.
One of your many writing talents is that readers always know where they are and why it matters. Just Sean and I are writers too. Like that's not an easy task, but you make it
Yeah.
look easy. So
Thank you.
walk us through how you manage that on the page. Is it outlining? Is it instinct? Some combination of that?
I'm the simplest answer is probably editing because it feels like a complete utter mess while I'm working on it. And it's probably a second or a third draft before you go, oh, the reader doesn't really know this yet. I kind of need to bring them in. And there's so many examples of that. Right now I'm working on Gray Man 16, and it's cooking right along. I'm really happy with it. But there is a super important thing missing early in the story that explains the stakes without doing a big rehash of the book before. And it's almost like your brain won't let you relax and move forward. Maybe you guys have been that, like, when you get stuck on one thing, it's like it's easy to go, well, I'll just go on to another part. And you sort of have to do that. Otherwise, you'd be frozen solid. But there's something in your brain that doesn't let you shift into the next gear until you figure out those things. So when I was writing the hard line, um, I I see the kind of the big picture, and then I see the little part that I'm in, and then I just have to just keep telling myself to trust that somewhere down the road, maybe way down the road, I'm going to go back to the beginning, read through the whole thing, and then I will put in the connective tissue that make it all make sense. And it's a tough thing to do. And this is my 27th published novel, and every single time, like I'm dealing with it right now, the book after the hard line, going, you know, I'm totally jammed up in this, but I just have to tell myself, it's like, okay, you can unjam yourself later, but you need to keep that, you need to keep writing. You need to keep that forward momentum going. So it's probably my second draft where I really start going, okay, let's explain this to the reader, or maybe I've explained this too much and take that out. I actually took, I want to say, about 8 or 9 thousand words out of the book from the second draft to the third draft or something, which is a lot for me. I felt like it didn't need it. I felt like there were places where I would maybe doing too much explaining. So it's this weird balance that you're never 100% sure you've got right, but at some point you got to turn the book in.
I'm curious
Sure.
though. In your first drafts, do you put notes to yourself in the manuscript as you're going a lot, or like going forward, so you don't lose that momentum?
The notes that I put in the manuscript. So I have a system that I probably don't recommend. I have a Word document. Now I will have what I call a synopsis of the book, which is just kind of some bullet points that are subject to change or subject to me never even looking at them again after I put them in there to kind of get my head around what I'm trying to write. But I have just one Word document with the whole file on there, everything I've written. And at the bottom, when I don't know where to stick something, I will write things. And sometimes I'll have an idea and I'll write out a whole scene. And it's at the bottom. It's not going to end up at the bottom, but I don't really know where it's going to go for now. Or I will have a funny line of dialogue or an interesting point that I want to make. And I'll just sort of stick it there at the bottom. And there's a point probably 3 weeks, 4 weeks before the book is actually due to my editor, where I'm going through the whole thing and I'm looking at all this stuff at the bottom going, can I use this? Can I not use this? And I always hate that day because it's like sometimes your word count goes down like 6,000 words in one day or something because you're going like,
Delete.
okay, I'm going to save this in a file for maybe another book because it's an interesting tidbit about court or something that could be relevant down the road. But yeah, some people use different softwares. Some people, have a file for every chapter. Some people have a very slavish, outline on Scrivener or whatever they use. And my hat is off to those people. I think my brain is just the chaos is the only way it can, create things in the first place. And then I just have to, you know, paint the trim at a
Well, it
later
works for
part.
you, man. 27 novels.
Yeah, yeah. I always feel like there's a better way to do it. And every year I just go like, this is the one that doesn't have the foundation, so the whole house is about to fall down on me. But somehow in the editing, it always comes together.
Awesome.
I've tried a couple of those the software packages.
Yeah.
I find I spend more time trying to figure out the software than I do being comfortable in the software. So I'm a word guy. I mean, and okay, notebook for certain things, but
Yeah, that's the same for me. I will tell myself, okay, when I'm done with this book, I'm really going to spend a month and really learn Scrivener because I believe it's very effective if you know it. And then I'll watch a few videos and I'll kind of fiddle with it a little bit. And then when it comes time to start my next book, I just go back into Word. So I think it's just how our brains work.
Creature of
well,
habit.
do you find that you were talking about how you kind of write yourself into a corner? Do you find that some of your best writing comes writing yourself out of that corner, like like that frustrating dead end that you hit? Do you find that a lot of your kind of your best scenes or work come out of that sort of scenario?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I don't want to plot my way through a book to where um, I'm sort of telegraphing. I feel like I want to write my hero into a corner without any inclination of how he's going to get out of it. Sometimes, not always. And then just use my old brain and try and come up with a way to get out of it just as he would in the situation. Now, with some of the bigger plotting thing, it's like sometimes you go, okay, is this too, convenient that this happens to the character? And these things happen, the sort of the big plot things that you kind of have to resolve
Sure.
sometimes before you get to them. Sometimes I'll go like, okay, I've got my, this character, I know he's got to end up in France, so I need to, come up with a legitimate reason for him to be there when this happens or whatever. So I can't say I'm always writing by the seat of my pants, but it always feels like you're trying to, find the gold in the pile of dirt.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
it's
there's a couple there's been a couple scenes over the years, many actually, but one I can think of, and forgive me for not knowing what book, but you probably don't know it either. It was he's in South America and he's basically been captured and he's about to be tortured and such.
Mm.
And the resolution of that scene, after I finished, I kind of sat and reflected. And I thought, I bet he wasn't sure how he was going to get out of that when he went into that
Yeah.
because it's so inventive and so like Court using his faculties and it felt like something that you wrote yourself into and we're like, okay, now I got to write myself out of it.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. And I tell
that's
myself,
I mean as a compliment, by the way.
oh yeah, no, thanks. I feel that way when I'm writing sometimes. I'm going like, okay, what's it gonna, how deep is this gonna go? And I'm like, don't worry about that. You're the bad guy.
Yeah,
Your brain is in the adversary position right now, and you can't Deus ex machina your way through this or come
right.
up with something. Now that doesn't mean that in the edits you're not going to come back and like foreshadow something that
Sure.
that comes in handy that you need down the road. But I mean, I really do, going back to the edits. I mean, I think that's when if you write sort of a complicated story that you don't want to be complicated, you can sort of decomplicate it in the edits.
Yeah. I don't remember what book it was, one of the many writing books that everybody has, but it says in a thriller, it says just write this on a note card. How can I make his life worse? And
Yeah, yeah,
I love that.
exactly.
It's such a simple thought, but it has such a great like ripple effect if you
Yeah.
look at that every morning when you're
Yeah, I get emails from people all the time where they're just like, "Oh, can't you just let Court and Zoya be happy?" And just you got to give this guy a break and blah blah blah. And I'm sitting there going like, "That's not what you want. It's not what
you
anybody
know,
wants." And it's like
Court,
you might buy that book, but you wouldn't buy the one after it. That's for sure.
Court and Zoya in St. Lucia,
Yeah,
the worst
exactly.
selling gray man book ever.
Yeah.
Tom would not accept that.
No,
Would
no, no,
not
no,
accept that draft. So
no.
tradecraft in these books always feels very grounded. So you have SDRs, surveillance detection routes, which I always find it interesting. You put the acronym and then you explain it afterwards for people who may not be familiar with it. You have
Yeah.
safe houses and call signs, all the guns and equipment. Has your research process changed over the course of these 15 books? Are you drawing on a deeper bench of sources now than you were earlier on?
Yes, there's a deeper bench of sources for sure. I mean, there was pre-Clancy and post-Clancy, and then just over time, people I know. The other thing, as far as like those details, and it might not be the answer people want to hear, but it's true. It's like I worry less about the details and more about the emotional beats that I'm trying to hit in the story. So, you know, there are I won't get into as much detail as I used to, maybe, or if the technology doesn't really work the way that I need it to work or whatever. It's like I'm trying to take people on a ride, and part of that ride is authenticity, or the feeling of authenticity. And so you definitely have to get that right. But like when I sit down to write a book, I don't go like, oh, the sticking point's going to be that I don't understand how a lock is picked, or how something is hacked or whatever. It's like I can work that out on the day, or I can talk to somebody, or I can look it up, or I can make it up. It's more like, how do I get the most emotion out of the reader at each point? I'm trying to like remove all the friction between my idea of the story and the reader's idea of the story, and keep the writing as clean. So when I was doing the Tom Clancy books, there was an expectation, obviously, that they were, came from the techno thriller era, but I didn't really write them as techno thrillers. I don't think any of us post Clancy Jack Ryan writers do the straight techno thriller, just because I think it's um, you can do it. A little goes a long way now, and maybe back in the olden days when Tom Clancy was the first guy doing this, um, you it was incredibly novel to explain how a torpedo worked in intimate detail.
10 pages, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's not really how it works anymore. So, long way of saying, I do like to get the details right, just for the authenticity, and just to use if it is interesting to use them. But it's more about the emotions and the ride that I'm trying to take the readers on.
Yeah, well, mission accomplished. Um, Longtime fans of the series know that Court was a solo operator for much of the early novels. He's still extremely effective in that mode, but he's evolved a bit and is now integrated into a team again, like he was when he was Violator. So I have two questions about that. Is that dynamic something you plan to continually sort of modulate? Um, and secondly, if you were interviewing Court, which is his most natural environment? Which do you think he's more comfortable doing?
Well, first off, I do kind of think of modulating things. The end of every book sort of tells me what the scenario is for the next book.
Yeah.
And, the end of this book is one way, and that means the next book is going to sort of start that way. But I'm not sure if that whole house of cards is going to fall down and something else will happen. I kind of look at my first five books, which was The Gray Man through Backblast, as
Mhm.
one story, because that was the story of why the CIA was after him in the first place. When I wrote the first Gray Man book, that was just a cool character building thing, that he was living in the third world because the CIA was trying to kill him. So he was like off the net or whatever. I had no idea why they were after him. And I had no plans to ever come up with an idea. I didn't know there would be a book 2, 3, 4, or 5. But by around book 5, I was like, okay, you're going to have to resolve this for people. You can't just string this along for years. It's like you didn't know you were going to get this far. So now you have to come up with something clever. And then I kind of started with book 6, a new situation where he had a new handler who was actually evil and was trying to kill him. And I just thought that would be kind of novel if the woman who's running him is sort of secretly trying to assassinate him while she's running him. And sometimes she's, manipulated by people above her and he doesn't get killed. Sometimes he's manipulated by her to do other things. And so that went on for several books. And then after that, it was kind of a little bit of mayhem between Court and Zoya and their development for a few books. And now here we are at book 15, and readers will see that kind of a new development has happened where, as you said, that he is working with a group again. And I can't say that's going to last 5 books or 2 books or past the next book or whatever, but it was interesting for me to do. But I would definitely say his personality would be more of a solo guy, although I've evolved him a lot since he
Yeah.
started. And I say that I evolved him because it makes sense for his character to grow, any character to grow. But more than anything else, I evolved him because I wrote him as a little bit sociopathic and a little bit maybe spectrumy, because it just made sense for me. This guy that lives this really austere life and is doing these missions, could be, not like the rest of us to some degree. But then as the books went on, it's like you have to have him have witty banter with people and grow in relationships and all these other things. So I'm like, okay, that worked for books 1 through 5, and now let's just have him grow to the next phase of his life or whatever. So I think of him as more as a solo operator, and I 100% plan to do books where it's just him against an enemy and not part of a team. But I kind of do like the fact that he's with this small little cadre of people that he can work with and around.
Well, keeps his humanity. I mean, the human interaction part. So,
Yeah.
I think it's been awesome how you've modulated it. So, look
Thanks,
forward to
man.
more.
Yeah.
So the pacing in this one is relentless. I messaged Sean when I was reading this. I was like, dude, he switches into a gear and like you never come out of it. Like it's just crazy how
Awesome.
it just blew up. So you open in Bulgaria and then you move through Latin America and then you bounce between Virginia, DC, Colorado, Ireland. That's a lot of geography.
Yeah.
How do
Yeah.
you decide when to slow down and let a scene breathe versus keeping your foot on the gas? Is there like some kind of unwritten Mark Greaney rule?
There's not, it's like I kind of envision where the quiet moments are going to be, because I know that there needs to be some exposition, and then there just needs to be, like you said, some room to breathe here and there. Um, Everything that happens in Colorado in this situation in this book was really, really tense, but it wasn't all going to be action. It was going to be all tension, but not action. So if you if if you look at those chapters, the actual action part is actually pretty short, but
Mhm.
the tension is just ratcheted up,
Yeah.
especially, if you take a breath and think like, what if this was you, this was happening to? And so I kind of like to do that. And I used to, I think in number of action pieces. A book needed to have, I don't know that I had a number in my head, but like I would feel like, okay, it's been a minute since we've had, a gunfight or somebody falling off a building or something. So I need to kind of interject that. And I don't really do that. There's a few Gray Man books where that, you guys probably know this, kind of like 2/5 through your work, you feel like things really slow down a little bit because you're exposition and you're moving to the next thing. It's something like the first fifth of your book is probably all action. And then as it gets towards the end of the second act and the third act, then it's all action and tension. But have you ever felt that like you've
Yeah.
got this kind of lull,
Oh yeah.
page 130 to 260 or I don't know, but I'm not.
Well,
I'm not one of
that
the.
Mark Greaney writes 130,000 word books. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so
Well,
your
I've
second
written
act is a little bit.
well,
Yeah. What?
and having written more scripts than prose, that's always the challenge is that second act. It's
Yeah,
late in the second act, especially.
yeah, yeah. And so I have definitely gone back and read something that I've written before I've turned it in and gone, okay, it's too slow for too long here. I need to put some action in. So I I'm confident that the action I put in there made sense in the book. It wasn't like I just had,
Oh, no, it did.
court's bus hijacked and he had to fight his way out of it, on his
Which
way
would
to
have been fun to read, though. That would have been
on his
fun.
way to Schenectady or something. It's like I would have done it if I had to, but I like to make it part of the story. But I have definitely done that in my career. I'm trying to. I feel like 15 books in, I get to points now where I go, okay, this is what I would normally do, including in the hard line. The opening of the hard line, you're not in Court's point of view for. I'm not sure, 50 pages or something.
Yeah,
I mean, now Court is involved, but you're not in his point of view. And I've
right.
never done anything like that before. And it
So
felt a
funny.
little, what?
No, no, go ahead. I'm
I
sorry.
was just going to say, it felt wrong when I was doing it. It felt like I was making a mistake and I was going to get yelled at for doing it. But I kept going like, I think this is cool, but I'm going to second guess this 1,000 times. But then, when I looked at it later, I'm like, 15 books, it's okay to see things differently. And, at the opening of the hard line, you sort of see Court as an adversary. You kind of see him as the antagonist, the boogeyman or whatever. And I think that's okay. But when I was writing it, I was going like, "Oh, this just feels like I'm going to get in trouble," and it's
So,
just this
Sean, it's
weird
so
feeling.
fun. It's so funny he brings that up because that was something
Yeah, we were
we
discussing
were
that. We were like, this is
discussing that.
this is this is
Yep.
different. This is a twist, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
But you said something. Showing it from the other gentleman's point of view was super important, in my opinion, for the emotional resonance
right.
of the revenge story.
Yeah,
Because if you're not invested in that character, then it just doesn't have that. I mean, it's a cool plot, but
yeah,
if you don't have the emotional connection to that character and his family, which is a key part,
yeah,
his I mean his own family, not his father.
yeah,
I think that I mean, again, a hell of a risk, but I mean, I see why you feel it was a risk, but
yeah.
it paid off because I don't think it has near the same emotional impact without that.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for saying that. Yeah, I wanted of all the villains I've written, I think Campbell Coyle or Whetstone is the one. I don't want the readers to root for him, but I want them to really kind of understand the perspective of. And I think that's I remember reading a Frederick Forsyth book when I was a young reader, and when I say young, I was in my 20s. I didn't start reading fiction until I was like 19 or 20. But and reading a Frederick Forsyth book and going like, wait, I'm rooting against the hero because there's something the hero doesn't know, or the protagonist in the book. There's
Right.
something the protagonist does not know, but me as the reader knows, which makes me completely root against his mission. And it's just a weird, funky place to be. And I thought it was cool. Like it was cool.
Yeah.
So in this book, I wanted you to really just go like, yeah, if I was the bad guy in this book, if I was that guy in this book, I'd be the bad guy. And Court is only the hero because because his name's on the cover or whatever.
Yeah. Well, speaking of bad guys or people who have been bad guys and heroes, Zach Hightower got a lot of page time in this one, a lot of face
Yeah,
time. And honestly, his arc was really moving and heartbreaking.
thank you.
So when you're writing a romantic, what is it like? What itch are you scratching that you don't scratch with Court? Like what's interesting and fun about writing that character versus Court?
Yeah, so I wrote Zach Hightower almost as comic relief early in the series. Now, in the first book, he comes around in book two, and he's not really comic relief in the sense that he's like one of the antagonists in book two. But I liked making this kind of super sarcastic, funny guy. I was kind of patterning him off of a guy who was a firearms trainer that I had, um, and And so that guy was just entertaining as heck. And he was, one of those people that would just say funny things, but in a million years they would never like laugh at their own joke. Those type of people, which I'm not that type of person. If I say something funny, I acknowledge myself. But this guy kind of struck me that way. So I wrote Hightower kind of as that type of a personality and didn't think any more depth to that. But over the years, I had said in that first book that he was a former, officer in DevGru and SEAL Team 6. And then so later in Sierra 6, 10 or 11 books into the series, I went back in time and showed him leading, a CIA unit. And at that moment, I realized that he'd been funny, mostly funny throughout, all the other books, even though he's, kind of an action guy, sometimes Court's nemesis, sometimes, kind of a frenemy, but probably
Yeah.
more of a friend. But then when I was writing Sierra 6, I was like, you know what? I can't really make him funny right now because it wouldn't make sense.
Right.
He just lost one of his men, and the stakes are incredibly high. So I started to take the character a lot more seriously and see him a lot more three-dimensionally. And in a book called 1 Minute Out, I had just had as an aside, Zach had said that he'd had a child and had basically given the child up into the witness protection system, along with his ex-wife because of threats to Zach. And I kind of always wondered if I would go back and explore that. And I thought that this would be the book to do that, to go back and explore it. So, I mean, in answer to your question, I just making Zach three-dimensional has been fun to me because he's not like Court. Court's the quiet guy. Court's almost the straight man, and Zach's the kind of the wild ass. But he does really remind me of people that I have met, more than one now, military people that, the gallows humor and
Oh
and
yeah.
all that sort of stuff. But there's as much behind their eyes as there is the rest of us. And to see that play out a little bit in this story and with the really, really high stakes for Zach in a way that we haven't seen before was interesting for me to write.
Well, it's a great segue because Zach has definitely become an extremely deep character, very complex
Yeah.
over the course of the books, and
Yeah.
he's just been great to watch that come out in the books. But sticking with that theme, you've created a menagerie of memorable characters over the 15 books. Do you usually have a sense of the ones that might have staying power when you introduce them, or is it kind of a constant case of surprise and discovery on your part as the author?
I think it's more surprise. There was one character who's been in a couple of the books who I totally intended to kill him off in Agent in Place, which was book maybe 8 or 7 or 8. 7? I don't know. 7. Um, I was going to kill him off. His name was Sebastian Drexler, and he was a Swiss kind of a behind the scenes, villain type character. And it got near the end of the book, and I'd killed off some other antagonists or whatever. And I was like, he's kind of interesting to me. I might keep him around to use again. And then, so this is just the thing you don't think about until you write 15 of these with the same set of characters. So then I had him come back in a book a few books later. I think he was in Burner, and he was another one of the antagonists, and he survived that one too. And so you think, oh wow, he's going to come back for the third one. Well, but he got beat the last two times. He becomes less of an impactful character, doesn't he?
Right.
It's like I think, and I didn't know that until I did it. It's like, oh, he's going to get out of Burner, and then when he comes back, it's really going to be the big showdown. But it's like, is it though? Because Court, achieved his objectives in both of these books,
Right.
and Drexler did not achieve his objectives. So I bring him back for round 3. It's almost like he's the guy that got knocked out by by Mike Tyson twice, getting a third shot at it. And so like I didn't think about it, like in my head it's like, oh, this guy, maybe I'll kill him off down the road or give him some big ending down the road. But now I kind of look at him as a character that's kind of played out, because it's like he didn't die, and I'm sure wherever he is he's still a bad dude, but maybe he doesn't need to be playing in that league anymore because he keeps losing. So it's just something I never would have thought about, having not written a long series that you have these people like that. Now there are other characters. I bring a character back in this book, Scott Kincaid, who yeah, who's a kind of an evil former Navy SEAL guy, and I wanted him to come back, and because it fit for this story that he would be one of the people that was brought back into it. So that was kind of a different story. But I look at that guy Drexler, and it's like, for a minute I had big plans for him. The opposite thing, not to go along with the answer, but the opposite thing was in book 3, Ballistic. I had this character, his name was Cullen, and he was a former Navy captain. This was the one down in Mexico.
Mhm.
And I killed him off like maybe the beginning of the second act, I guess. And then late in that book, I completely needed that guy. Like the book didn't make sense without him, but I didn't have him. I had to come up with other things. And I was like, oh my gosh, I way killed that dude off. But it was going to be too hard to like bring him back to life.
Resurrect him.
And so now I think about that when I'm writing a book. I'm going like, oh, this guy is going to have it's going to really put some emotional beat into this story right here if this guy dies or this woman dies. But it's like, do I need them later? Do they need to come back?
You could always do the Dallas thing, and the entire book was a dream.
Exactly. Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah. When I co-wrote Red Metal with my friend Rip Rawlings, the Marine Lieutenant Colonel, we had a lot of that where he would work on part of it, I would work on part of it, and then we would sort of argue about who got to live and who got to die, depending on if we needed them in the scenes that we were each working on. I mean, the way that was structured, we all went, we both went back and read did everything and edited each other's work. But in that first draft, we had these, kind of these battles about like, no, I need this guy for my thing. It's like, no, I need to kill him off here for this emotional, beat. So it's always a big mishmash when you're writing these things. It's never as pretty as people think it might be.
I was just reading that saying, don't kill the Polish girl. Don't kill the Polish girl.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. I liked her.
Yeah. Great. Great, great.
So, without getting into spoiler territory, because I'm notorious for that, this book deals with the idea of a high-ranking U.S. official being recruited by a foreign intelligence service. From your research, it's kind of real-world question. How realistic is that scenario? Like, how vulnerable are people in those positions or positions he had?
Completely realistic, to the point where I can name 6 European countries where high level diplomats or executive officials or elected officials or whatever have been compromised, specifically by Russia. I'm sure also by other countries. In South Korea, it's happened with North Korea has infiltrated. Just in the past couple years, several elected officials in European countries have been sort of caught taking bribes from Russia. And I don't think there's any reason that it would not happen in the United States. There's nothing about a French politician that makes them more pure, less pure as the driven snow as an American politician. So whether or not we someday find out that some of our, in this book, characters are kind of on the take from a foreign power because they're trying to achieve power for themselves. And I think just human nature, people can rationalize that away and not get up in the morning and go, I'm a villain working for the Chinese or for the Russians, but saying, in order to beat the other guy who's probably doing the same thing, I need this amount of money in my coffer. And the only way to get this amount of money in my coffer to, fight the good fight and to, be a champion of the working man or whatever it is that they tell themselves, they're doing. I will play this game, this dirty Washington, D.C. game, but I'm not going to be like the rest of them. And I'm sure that is going on right now. I mean, don't you think? I mean, can't you
Oh
imagine?
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you just if it's not, then I don't know what to think.
Well,
It's happening in other places.
Yeah.
We haven't caught ours yet.
I mean, if you look at the wealth of our elected officials from their net worth from when they get to office to where they are now, it's clear they're being compromised by domestic interests for sure. So it's not
Yeah.
not a huge stretch
Yeah.
just them throwing their principles away for, you know, and
Yeah.
you can always justify it. Like you said, it's like, well,
Sure.
if I get this position, then I can make, even more of an impact, but then you're beholden to a greater group of people. So
Exactly. And I don't know that they're wrong. I mean, I know that that's against the law, but like, it's like, I don't know. I imagine that somebody that allows himself to get compromised is somebody that would allow themselves to get compromised down the road as well. Compromised to get elected would allow themselves to get compromised by any special interest or whatever. But yeah, and it's so much harder to trace money than it used to be. And it's easy to imagine that it's not difficult at all to help out a politician in a way that the politician would.
Hey, Mark, I'll push back on you on just a little bit.
All right.
It difficult to trace the money. I think I'll push back and say it's actually easier to trace the money. It's just the will is not there. And
The will's not there.
yeah, there's certain people and entities that are
because everybody's to be general, so many people are dirty that
yeah.
You have the fox in charge of the hen house, It's like,
yeah, for sure. And I wonder if it's always been the case, but I mean, I just think now, I think the world or America is so, in general, like one of our problems is we're so turned off by things that seem complicated.
Yes.
It's so easy to just simplify things in this world right now, that the things that work, it's like, the Epstein files is 7 million documents. That is a pain in the butt. But, we can talk about the halftime show at the Super Bowl and get more angry about that than we would about some sort of, like child endangerment situation, because that's simpler, and it's like
it takes work for the other one. Yeah,
exactly.
In law enforcement, we only get the dumb ones, the low-hanging fruit, because there's so much of it.
Right.
And put in the time and whatnot to get the big fruit.
Yeah.
Like you said, there's no will. So another real world thing that you dropped into the story, the Renaissance. I'm gonna mispronounce
Renasco?
Renasco?
A Renasco gang. Yeah.
Yeah, the real Nicaraguan drug trafficking outfit. They're not exactly a household name, but how did you find them? Like, what made you think that they were the right fit for that part of the book?
I for the Renasco gang, I needed a criminal organization in Nicaragua that could muster 3 pickup trucks full of guys with AKs. I mean, it was literally, and this is how we write, I mean, people think you went to Nicaragua and embedded with the drug cartel. No, you just, stuff like that. I mean, I went to Northern Ireland and I stayed in a farmhouse. I talked to people that, had been Irish Republicans and that sort of stuff. But for Nicaragua, I Googled it, honestly. And,
so cool. I love it.
I'd spent time in Guatemala. I've spent a lot of time in Central America. You draw on that when you're doing scenery and that sort of thing. But I just looked up, I basically, for my purposes, I needed a group that could get 3 truckloads of guys with AK-47s, and I figured these guys might be able to do it. And I was like, done, move on to the next thing.
Yeah, right.
It's like I'm meeting a buddy for lunch at noon, so I'm just gonna try to get this thing done.
I love that. Hey, so we have Mike, Mr. Mike House. He is,
Mike House is joining us.
He's willing to and ready to come in toward at the end of the interview. So
do we have to cheer? Do we have to say his name 3 times and click our heels? Like what do you have to do?
Can you do that for me?
He's very much like Candyman.
Let me why does it say 2 people now? Oh my gosh.
Hopefully his patient is stabilized.
Let's see.
There he is on the
there he is.
Whoa.
What's up?
Wow.
There he is.
Dr. Mike.
We want to hear your story.
Do you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, brother.
Yeah.
Well, it was a they
Nicaraguan?
it was some
2,000 years later.
So, I get daily emails from people on the inside, basically.
oh
we love you.
Sure, got pretty mouth.
No, I had I could almost grab it. Someone from a prison in Texas mailed me to my PO box, not to my home address. Thank God.
Sure. Oh my God.
This handmade card that you opened it, whatever the name of that stuff is, where it comes up, and it is the most incredible thing. And
like origami type
yeah,
stuff.
like origami. And I've got it over there. And he wrote this incredibly long letter, and he just kind of like, I think he was Hispanic, and he'd read a couple of my books, and I had sent him, someone who worked in the prison asked me to send him one, and so I did. This was a thank you, but like he blessed my family and just all this other stuff. But it was the most ornate and just handcraft. I mean, I guess he had a lot of free time, but at the same time, you look at it and you go like, I appreciate this so much, but I don't know what this guy did, so I don't know how to feel about this.
Well,
you know,
I'm in the same boat.
6.5 hours later.
This is a great ending to the regular part of the podcast.
What? Oh, right.
But that leads. That's a good segue, because you've done cliffhangers before, Mark. But this one, this was a doozy. How far ahead did you have the next chapter of the story mapped out as you were finishing the hardline? Did you know the next step, or was it again where you were writing yourself into a thing? You're like, I'll figure this out later.
So in a general sense, I knew what I wanted to do with the next one. So let me clarify. This book, The Hardline, there's really two big plots. There's a big, huge overarching conspiracy theory that's happening in the US government. And then there's this very individual story with the Gray Man and Whetstone, this Northern Irishman who wants to kill him for personal reasons. And they're at this clash, and that is the plot line that gets resolved in this book. The larger conspiracy thing is going to continue out, and then something happens on the very last page of the book where it gives you a feeling of like, aha, okay, so there's even more going on. So I knew that was a cliffhanger, although I do feel like people get their money's
resolved. There's a result.
People get their money's worth with the story.
100%.
It's just a huge aha of where we're going with the story after that. And I did know in a general sense how I wanted the next book to open and what the stakes are and all that. But it's 160. My books are about 160,000 words, and that means I had 15 of the words or whatever. That means I had 1,000 of the words kind of in my head. And so now I'm in that slog of trying to figure out, trying to make a payoff as big as that setup, deserves. So, I like writing myself into a corner and then finding my way out of it. Although, gosh, if you talk to me in July, I'm just
you hate yourself for it.
I
Right?
hate it. I hate everything in July.
Self-hatred in July.
I love my wife and my family. My dog, my dogs, except first thing in the morning. I love them. Everything else I hate.
I understand that.
Yeah.
So for the audience, let me just put it this way: it's like Empire Strikes Back, complete resolution of a big portion of the story, but a big open-ended thing that we're looking forward to see how it's resolved later. So.
Right. Yeah.
Very true.
And I found that really satisfying. I mean, there's always links to where we're going to be going next, but this one really seemed to give me a much bigger. I don't know. It left me wanting more than all of your other books that I read, which was really cool because it felt like a new piece that you had introduced. Yeah,
it changes things forever, and it sort of changes the story. And I'd always thought that I was going to do this, but I thought I was going to do it in a very different way until I got into this book, and I was like, well, maybe this is something the Gray Man doesn't know. I thought it was going to happen, but the Gray Man would know about it. But this is comes to a surprise to him, and that's probably as far as I'll go into it. I'm just speaking. When you speak so obliquely, you're not making any sense.
But I think the audience will hopefully they'll dig in and be as excited about this as we are.
Yeah,
I know they will. The other thing I'll say, and I'm no spoiler here, but I will just say this: that one of the things that this book did for me was it made me uneasy about the safety of everyone. And that's tough to do when you have a long running series with a lot of players that are very dear to the readers' hearts. And I'll leave it at that. I thought that was a great addition to the suspense, and the tension in this book was not knowing.
Yeah, nobody's really safe. And
Yeah.
and I feel like that's a really important thing. When I wrote the Tom Clancy books, um, now this isn't a knock on Tom Clancy because he could have done it, but me as a guy that coming in and taking over those characters, I knew that I could never kill any of those characters. Like
Yeah.
you weren't going to kill John Clark or Chavez or Ryan. It's like I
Yeah,
turned
yeah,
that book into the editor, and not only am I fired, I'm just so blackballed. Um, but in a bigger sense, it makes you go, Clancy could have done it, obviously,
yeah.
but I couldn't. So in my own series, I always want there to be this feeling that there is real skin in the game for the reader, and the characters they care about can die or disappear or whatever. And I don't ever want anybody just to kind of like take a sigh of relief when they pick up my thriller novel. That's not what that's not. I don't think that's the point of these
Oh, here's
things.
a relaxing read.
Yeah, exactly. Here's my cozy read. So it's 15 books in, you want to keep surprising people and keep doing things different than you've done them before, and it's a challenge, but it's also the most fun that you can have with 15 books in.
For sure. Well, Mark, you've survived another interview, at least the main portion. Um, the hard line comes out February 17th. Get out there and get it. It's phenomenal as they all have been, and that's I can't say that about every author, but
Thank you.
I'm not just saying this because I'm on the show. I enjoyed every Gray Man book, and
I appreciate that so
not the
much.
truth of every author. But
Cheers, man.
we reached the lightning round, which is the absurdity that you have been waiting for. My first question is actually kind of easy. You know that I'm a big old fashioned guy. I love old fashions.
Mhm.
And I had one of the lucky people on earth to have had the Mark Greaney Mark Greaney fashioned old fashioned. And it was stellar. And
Well, thanks.
I have a really good friend who we get old fashions all the time, and we're just constantly amazed at how professional bartenders can mess up an old fashioned
Absolutely.
over again. It's like I think I'm batting about like a major league player, about 333 at a good major league player, I should say.
Yeah.
So what's the secret to the grainy old fashioned?
Very easy. What bartenders 90% of the time screw up is too much bitters, I think. Don't you think?
Yeah. Or too
So
much.
I use only orange bitters. Actually, I'm drinking an old fashioned right now, but I'm just gonna be completely honest. You guys are usually just drinking like scotch or something, and I didn't want anyone to know this was an old fashioned. Is that just okay? E.H. Taylor, good stuff. Okay, bourbon, whatever.
Bourbon. Yeah.
So here's the deal. This is how insecure of a 58-year-old man I am. This is an old fashioned without the cherries or the orange peel in it because I wanted it to look like I was just drinking
Foamy bourbon.
drinking
Hey,
bourbon on ice.
The crew endorses any old fashioned drinkers out there. So
for sure.
don't ever feel ashamed to put that orange.
So just to be doubly clear, I did not fish the cherries out of it. I just didn't put them in. So, but I did put some cherry juice in there.
I would have fished them out.
Yeah.
I would have left them.
So I just use orange bitters. I used to put like one little drop of Angostura in there as well, and then I ran out of it, and then I couldn't tell any difference. And I drink an old fashioned every night. So I use cherry bitters, not cherry, sorry, orange bitters, and then I use the Luxardo cherries. I don't use any sugar at all. So a lot of people use Demerara sugar or other types of things. I didn't use any sugar at all. I use a larger orange piece. So I don't just use an orange peel. I actually use like a little orange wedge, and I don't mull it. I just squeeze it and sometimes put it in, sometimes don't put it in. And then you use good bourbon. And for me, good bourbon, I mean,
that's the key.
Obviously the Taylor bourbon is incredible, but I use like Elijah Craig or Woodford or something like that. But even
that's our favorite every day.
Yeah, even like Bullet and stuff like that, which is very good bourbon, it just doesn't taste as good to me as like a Woodford or Elijah Craig or the E.H. Taylor is really good, but I mean, as many old fashions as I drink, Josh Hood always makes fun of me for being cheap with guns and ammunition because we shoot a lot. And so I guess I'm a cheapskate when it comes to alcohol. Although Elijah Craig's not cheap in my book, but
No, well, so I actually have a hookup with the H. Taylor and
there you go.
and Eagle Rare. So I don't.
Nice.
I'm kind of cheap too. My house bourbons are usually Buffalo Trace, Bullet, and Four Roses. So
Yeah.
uh, so this is I only bring this stuff out for like the Mark Greaney interviews.
Oh, that's very nice. I appreciate that.
And also I'm done with my Hibiki 12-year, which I haven't been able to find since that interview. But anyway, okay. My second question: is there any chance we see some more scenes with Father Sean? I feel like there's some development that is left in that character.
Father Sean
Yes,
from the beginning of the book.
yes, Father Sean.
I love
Oh my god, this so reminds. So I've been doing podcasts all day. I did like one live interview, and everything else has been podcast. And somebody earlier today, it's like when you're an author and you wrote a book a year ago. I mean, I know exactly what you're talking about because I know you, and it's like, and my brain just goes there. But this guy goes today, and he's like, "So do you like Sedona?" And I'm thinking like, in California, I've never been there. But apparently in the book, I have Campbell Coyle drinks a soft drink, and it's an apple flavored soft drink that's popular in Northern Ireland called I don't know how you pronounce it, but it's a CIDO or something like that. But I was just looking at the guy, just like I'm looking at you now, like, what? But I know Father Sean, did I just mention his name for like 1 second?
So Mark,
Here it comes.
Let me just point out when this book came out, you promised that I would be in the next book.
Okay.
And that went on and on and on. And then the last time we interviewed you, after Midnight Black, you said, "Oh, you know what? The next book takes place in Ireland."
Oh my God! And I never thought of it.
I have an opportunity to throw you in the
Chapter 5, Father Sean.
So anyway, so I just
so it's too late for me to go. That was you, right?
Yeah. No. So I was just saying, you can on the second edition, you can add my last name in there. That would be fine. We'll be square.
I just screwed up. Yeah.
No. Anyway, that's
all right.
All right. So my last one is: given your penchant for on-site research, when can we expect a gray man set in the Amalfi Coast or Tuscany?
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So my honeymoon, I got married 5.5 years ago, and during COVID, and our honeymoon was going to be in the Amalfi Coast. Oh. And I still have not taken her there. We have gone many cool places. I know. It is outrageous. So it's a place I want to go. Like we both want to go.
I sent you a guide.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
We went back. My wife and I just went back for our 30th in August.
Yeah. And you went too, right, Chris?
Yeah.
He went
used his
well.
guide.
Yeah, I gave him his guide. But my guide is way better than it was when I sent it to you. And I will also recommend a place which you will all love because of your love of history. It's closer to the East Coast. It's about 3 hours from the Amalfi Coast, called Matera. It's the oldest. If you look it up, they believe it's the oldest continuously occupied settlement in Europe.
Wow!
It's 10 to 12,000 years old. Our hotel was a cave. Every restaurant we ate at was a cave. The cigar bar I went to,
but it was good. But it's not just the cave. It was good.
Yeah, not a bad cave.
Damn.
Good.
No. It was like, I mean, they've turned these caves into luxury hotels.
Yeah, right.
It's extraordinary.
Oh my God.
The last James Bond movie had a car chases that was in Matera.
Okay.
At the very beginning, and then also in the Passion of the Christ, Matera stood in for Bethlehem. But
wow,
super cool place that it's a 2 to 3 nights max, two night place. Really cool place.
Well, it is definitely a place my wife and I are going. It has just been scheduling. Like we haven't done just a me and her trip that's not work related or not kid related in a long time. Well, we actually went to New York for like 4 days, last year. And I was like, hey, this is our first, like whole trip. And we're going to the Cayman Islands next month. But there is a work component for me. It is research for the next book.
Have you been there?
Yeah.
Have you been there?
Yeah. I've never been to the Caymans, no.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, we were just there.
Off air, I will text you 3 restaurants you have to go to.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, we're on 7 Mile Beach, so if it's
Okay.
anywhere you
It's
see me,
the water is flat as a pancake. It's the wide open ocean, but
yeah,
it's flat as a
Well,
pancake on
there's
the
a
west
reef.
side. It's
There's a reef
stunning.
around part of it, and
yeah, I'll be
Oh,
diving for sure.
beautiful.
Yeah, dude, it's gonna be
oh
awesome.
yeah. Yeah, you have to go down Stingray and all those places. It's really
Yeah,
neat.
awesome. Oh, terrific. Yeah, send me that.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, we definitely want to go to the Amalfi Coast. I am not off the hook for it, and I want to go. We went to Milan because I was doing book research, and I had to go to Milan and Geneva. Not had to. I mean, I went to Milan, Geneva, and Zurich, and so we were kind of over there, and then we both got COVID, so that was fun.
Yeah.
So, but now is probably a great time to go. We should go this year.
I have some really good, like this trip was different because we got really tight with the locals. We like, I have friends that I talk to almost every day from Italy now from
Wow.
this last trip, and it's yeah, I got some good stuff for you. So
Cool. Awesome.
Christopher.
If Court was a chess piece, which piece would he say he is, and which piece is he actually?
Well, let's see. Trying to not say he's a queen. But I mean, he does move.
It does it all.
He does kind of do it all. I think he would say he's a rook. He would say that he's, he has masters and he's limited or whatever. But I think he is whatever people would say is the most powerful chess piece. I mean,
The queen.
yeah, exactly.
No,
So
no
yeah,
weird connotation there.
from the beginning, I never wanted Court to be the best assassin in the world. I wanted people to say he was, and he doesn't believe his own hype, if that makes sense. He's the guy that's just barely getting through every situation. So he's not like a narcissist, going like he's never the one saying he's the best. He's the one wishing people weren't talking about him. It's other people are saying he's the best. So, but yeah, he would be the queen, I guess.
Okay. There's a scene where Court jumps from a balcony, and he uses
Spoiler.
No,
Just
it's
kidding.
not
Go ahead.
he uses a Ethernet cable as a safety line.
Yeah.
I looked it up. Standard Cat 5 cable breaks at about 90 to 110 pounds. Court's about 180. So
Yeah.
How much hate mail?
So the two cables
doubled.
and the way it's written, he's not using his whole weight. So the swing out thing is is the key
Physics,
there.
baby.
Believe me, I thought about that, and I looked that stuff up, and I thought about that, and I was like, okay, he's using both strands of the cable, and he's whipping around, so it's definitely pulling against it, but it's not like he's dropping and pulling his whole weight. Now, 90 pounds, I don't know. Maybe it wasn't standard cable, but he knows better than I am.
It's a great book. I'm just nitpicking you.
Oh, no, I know.
I got him. I'm like, this.
Believe me.
He's that dude nitpicking you about the guns and shit.
I will get that email. Gosh, what did I get just yesterday? Somebody that just had it was some highway that somebody made a left on, and it's like, I mean, you wouldn't make a left there, you'd make a right there, and you'd make a left, like, you have to take that like 4 miles to Richmond, and then you make a right or whatever.
And
it was
just story, Mark. You took
exactly.
Yeah,
it's like the guy was going from west to east, so I said that he took a right, and it's like, oh no, that actually whips around to the west, and then it goes to the east, and I'm just
one star. Didn't finish. One star.
Yeah.
Since you put Father Sean in the story, next time you write a Secret Service agent, did you put in Chris Albanese?
Chris Albanese,
Yeah, specifically, yeah.
Yeah, there is a character in the book named Trey Watkins, who is he's the deputy director of the CIA. He's a guy that I know that just for years told me to put him in a book, and I put him in the book just as a name of the new DDO, and he wasn't even a character. But then I needed that character in the next book, and then I needed him a little more in the next book, and then he became like a major character. And every time I see him, I'm like, I never meant to write you as a major character. I was just trying to drop your name just so you would stop asking. And then it's like suddenly he snuck up behind me and became a major character. So yes, I will have a Chris Albanese.
This saddens me.
I know, and
you've already been in a book.
It's the best. The best.
I'll get you in there, Sean. I promise.
Oh yeah.
There's always book 16.
That's right. There's a N17 and 18. They're better.
Oh jeez.
Michael, did you in the midst of your stabbing
Yeah,
Let's see.
we can let him off the hook if he doesn't have
No, that's
anything.
okay. Quick question. Are you a bug in kind of guy or are you a bug out kind of guy if something goes down?
Oh, bug in for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'd go.
Mm.
I have so many friends that have like property outside of the city, and I've
Right.
always kind of wanted to do that, but I never. In fact, I just shot like a promotional video of guns that are used in the hard line,
Yeah.
with my buddy Josh Hood, and so we went out of the county, like just not far at all from where I live, like 40 minutes from where I live, and this guy has a bunch of property out there and he has his gun range, and I'm like, oh my God, this is Nirvana. And it's like all I would have to do is find a place and buy it, and I could do this too. And I've just never done it because I'm always so busy. But
All right.
yeah, so the logic of bugging out absolutely makes sense, especially depending on where you live and what your, what the reason for the bugging is, like is this
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
a nuclear thing or whatever. But I mean, as I
Yellowstone.
am now, we have a what do you call it, a storm shelter, and it's stocked with like MREs and water and like
Nice.
chemical toilet and all this other stuff. And one time when my kids were younger, we had a really, really bad storm, and both the girls were upstairs, and the storm was like literally, I'm watching the news, and they're like, get to shelter if you're in this zip code. And
Oof.
so I called the girls upstairs, and they were just so annoyed. They were just like, will you call us back if it gets close? I don't hear anything. And I'm like, oh my God, I had these big plans of, being the stepdad that saves everybody's life. And it's like, they're just like,
You're
I'm on
annoying.
TikTok, man.
let
I'm
us
not
know when
gonna-
the
I'm
dog goes on the
I'm not gonna-
property, please.
yeah, exactly. Let them know what it was on. And so, so I was like, my vision of like, being the hero was
The
like,
saber, yeah.
I'm literally going to have to go up there and pepper spray a couple of teenagers and drag them down to the storm shelter. And then the storm passed, and then they were like, "See, he didn't know what he's talking about." So but yeah, no, I would stay home. We were kind of set up to my home defense situation is many layered, so I like my chances here.
Cool. Well, in that vein, then, of all the firearms that you own, what's the one? If you could only keep one, which one would it be and why?
It would probably be my Noveski. Well, no, I'm not. It's my Bulgarian AK-47. It's a Bulgarian underfolder, and
Okay.
it's the gun that just won't. I couldn't screw it up. Like if
You can
if you
shoot
gave
tin
me like
cans. Yeah.
if you gave me like 3 minutes to break it or to make it to where it wouldn't shoot, I couldn't do it probably.
Awesome.
I've had AK-47 magazines that are like just covered in mud where you can't even see if they're loaded or not. You can feel they're loaded because it's been like at some class and it's fallen out.
Yeah.
From a year ago. And I just to show somebody how resilient this gun was, I loaded it into the gun, racked it, and used that to clean the mud off of the gun. I just shot the ammo out of it. And it's like,
We're clean. We're good.
yeah. So
Unreal gun.
that gun's always going to run. So
Freeze it, muck it, mud, water.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Ammo aplenty. All right. Last question then. So, okay. So let's say you're in that scenario, right? You're bugging in. You've got your firearm. What are 5 additional items that you're a must-have? Only 5 that you can pick that are absolutely must-haves.
I have a weird fetish for flashlights. I probably own like 40 flashlights of different types. So I don't have a light on that gun. The gun doesn't have rails on it to where you can put lights on it.
Yeah.
It has a top rail, but I've got a optic on there. So I would have some kind of a flashlight. I would have so I have a Maxpedition. I think they call it Fat Boy. It's a pack that is loaded. Yeah. It's got more than 5 items in it, so it's kind of cheating. But it's got like a multi-tool. It's got
we won't ask,
a knife, ammo, but it has all the medical stuff. So I have tourniquets and quick clot and Israeli bandages and all that kind of stuff. So
got your
let's just say a medical kit.
Stuff,
yeah. A chest seal. I took a class on that about 15 years ago, and really recently I was repacking some medical stuff because I was trying to like make it a little bit smaller for a new bag. And I was going like, all right, if right now I had to put a chest seal on somebody, would I remember it? And I'm like, I probably wouldn't.
Oh, it's kind of
pulmonary
dummy proof.
pneumothectomy. Yeah,
Where's
I
the
mean, it
corners?
seemed like it at the time, but like it's just been so long. I need to just watch some videos on that.
The big error is that you have to make sure there's not a through and through, because some people will slap one in their chest and not realize that there's
There's
a
one
hole
in the
in
back.
the back.
Yeah.
Of it, yeah.
Yeah.
And you got to get it vented too. Yeah.
You have to vent it. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many that is.
Let's say 3. You got 2
that-
more.
Let's say that's 3. So I have one of those life straws. That's a pretty cool thing that you can filter water with. That's 4. If I'm bugging out, some kind of communications, right? Are you going to tell me the internet and phones are down?
Sure.
If that's,
I would think if we're at that level, it's probably going to be down.
It's probably down. Yeah. I have a little hand crank radio that I've never had to use. I have one of those, like, you have those dry food rations in case the shit hits the fan. And then you look at them, they have so much sodium in them. And you're like, well, maybe you need the sodium.
You dehydrate
like,
in 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. But at my age, it's like the last thing, it's like, like I have
at our age.
Yeah.
Well, except for Chris.
I have MREs. And then when you look at MREs, you're like, oh, this is to keep a 19-year-old fighting. This isn't to keep a 58-year-old guy using the bathroom regularly.
No, you can have a hypertension crisis. And,
exactly.
Throw a PE. Yeah.
Well, what about music? I mean, there was no music there.
Oh, I'm just trying to stay alive, dude. I'll
rub
sing
2
to
sticks
myself.
together. That's your music.
Mark.
Yeah. Yeah, well, no, I guess my Spotify would be down. What would you have for music? What would you have, a banjo or something? Like, there's no internet.
Dueling banjos, Mark. Dueling banjos. If we're talking about
yeah, Sean would be the guy over there with the bow, 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 one of those.
The mouth harp. Yeah,
with the mouth harp. Yeah. No, if there's no internet, I guess I've got no music, sadly.
Well, yeah. Back to the old days.
You can download to your device though, so that is
my playlist, everything on it. Yeah, I should say my stepdaughter's music because she's a musician. She's terrific.
There you go.
She's phenomenal.
Yep.
I love her voice.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
Well, and Mark is a fellow Jason Isbell fan, so
I am. Like, yeah.
Freaking great live.
No,
really good.
Yes.
There you go, folks. Great book. Love where it went.
Get out.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I appreciate it.
Always a pleasure, sir.
Hey, it's always fun to talk to you guys. Enjoyed it.
Both to read and to speak to you. So
yeah.
Post, but I still got some more work to do.
I have to score a little bit more to toast you. So
awesome.
Drink some for me, Shawnee boy.
Yeah, you drank $40 worth of that Colonel Taylor tonight. Appreciate you.
My grizzly bear.
I like that.
Bear cup.
Mine has my initial on it. I don't know if you can see it, but it has a G on there.
There you go.
Yeah.
Probably not coming through.
Good seeing you.
Long time viewers might know that I might be obsessed with bears, so that's why it's there.
And it's mutual.
Mm-hmm. It's true. Place.
Yeah.
Sir.
Michael, good to see you.
Yeah, glad I could stop by.
The Hard Line, another great Mark Greaney book. The dude is as good as it gets and super consistent.
This was not phoned in either, man.
No, that's the thing. Is I don't think he's phoned in. Great book. I think his fans are going to love it. I like the Irish tie-in, and
Father Sean.
I pretend that Father Sean is
Father Sean.
He's someone
got a bright future.
Host.
Cheers to him. Cheers to us, and cheers to Mike and all the things he's doing.
Can't drink yet, boys. Still got to do stuff. Anyway, still to get the finger snap. Bye.